Shalom, shalom, Israel. Welcome again to Watchmen of the Faith Ministries. My name is Kasad Abba, and the title of today's show is called To Adam Was the Guarded and Trusted, the Need of a Redeemer. Again, the title of today's show is called To Adam Was the Guarded and Trusted, the Need of a Redeemer. Now, the reason why I chose this topic is because when we read the scriptures now, from the book of Bereshit to the book of Revelation, everybody should be on one accord, where everybody should understand that this is talking about responsibility. Clear cut. Nobody in Israel should see anything different. This is talking about us as a nation being responsible. And what I want to capitalize on is what happened in the Garden of Eden. And I want to specifically deal with the man here, Adam. Because the Father dealt with Adam first. Adam was given a responsibility when we read the book of Bereshit, and Adam did not live up to his part of being responsible in his obligation in being in that image of the Father and the Son. He failed. And being that both Adam and Eve failed, then we have now both of them being expelled from the Garden of Eden. And so we all know now the reason why they were expelled from the Garden of Eden is because they were not being responsible. So when we're not responsible, there are serious consequences that can occur when we don't follow the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's our first example. Now, let's speed it up a little bit. Remember what happened in the wilderness at Mount Sinai, when the nation of Israel came into covenant relationship with the Father and the Son. What happened? Why was the nation of Israel kicked out of the land of Canaan? Well, it's because of the same thing that happened with Adam and Eve. Israel collectively as a people, we were not responsible. So when you're not responsible, a bill of divorce is given, and the bride is now expelled from the house. So we should see now being responsible and obeying the laws, statutes, and commandments is very, very important. Very important. And now, let's put it up now to the year, this so-called New Year, 2012. What is our responsibility? I'm talking about the men here now. What is our responsibility as ministers in this vineyard here? That's the question that we have to ask one another. What is our responsibility when we get up here on YouTube, when we do the Ustream, and all of these other forms of communication that we do in spreading the word? What is our responsibility? Because to teach the word is one thing. But what we should be interested in now is the walk. And the reason why I say that is this, is when our brothers and sisters come to us, it is very important for us to make sure that we give them right reasoning, understanding, and knowledge according to the Torah. And we can't allow our feelings and our emotions get involved, okay, and the answers that we give them according to the Torah. Because the scriptures clearly tells us that the Father is not a respect of persons. It is time for the true sons and daughters to stand up in this walk and teach according to the scriptures. That is very, very important. This whole thing is about responsibility. Now, I just wanted to get that off my chest here, okay, because I'm hearing that a lot of brothers don't feel the need, okay, that their women understand the scriptures, and I say otherwise. It is very important for our women and children to understand the scriptures, because the two, the man and the woman, when they come together, they are now one flesh. My wife is supposed to reflect me, and I'm supposed to reflect my wife. This is a body here. And this is the same thing that's supposed to be portrayed with Israel as a community. We're supposed to reflect one another. And the only way that we can do that if we follow and understand exactly what the scriptures is telling us to do. That's the key. Now, with that being said, now I want to look a little bit deeper into this word Adam. And what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going into the Strong Concordance, number 119 and 120. All right, 119 and 120. Let's get the definition for the word Adam. Adam, to show blood in the face, flush or turn rosy, be dyed, made red or ruddy. All right, that's the Strong Concordance number 119. Now let's look at the Strong Concordance number 120. Adam, from 119, it means ruddy, a human being, an individual of this or the species. Common sort, low man, meaning of low degree in person. Now, I don't have a problem with that definition here. I believe that everybody has that conventional literal understanding of Adam. I heard a lot of brothers do the whole breakdown on Adam, and I'm not going to go over that whole thing again. I believe that a lot of those brothers did a real good breakdown on the word Adam. But I want to do something a little bit different. What happens with names is this. The name describes the person. Okay, so I'm going to say it again. The name describes the person. And what I want to do now is look at the three Hebrew characters that make up the word Adam. Okay, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to look up the three Hebrew characters that make up the word Adam, because the definition, okay, of the name describes the person. So that gives us a better understanding on actually who the person is and what we should expect from the person. Now, in order to get that understanding, we must understand, okay, that there are 8 functions in helping us to understand Hebrew. Hebrew is very, very important. Okay, it's extremely important. And I'm going to go over these 8 functions, okay, which is a little different, but it's going to definitely give us a clearer understanding on who Adam was. Now, these 8 functions, okay, because I have a whole lot of notes here. These 8 functions, again, they're very, very important in helping us, again, to understand who Adam was. And these 8 functions is this in understanding the Hebrew. We have to understand, okay, the Aleph Bet. That's very important. We have to understand the Hebrew. That's very important. We have to understand the Paleo. We have to understand the Proto-Semitic. We have to understand the picture, the action, the value, and the pronunciation of Hebrew. That is very important. Now, let's look at the word Adam. Okay, the word makes up 3 Hebrew characters. Okay, the Aleph, the Dalet, and the Mem. Now, what I'm going to be dealing with here now is the picture and the action. Again, the picture and the action. Now, the Aleph or the Ah, okay, in its picture and action form means strength, leader, and first. Okay, I'm going to go over it again. The Aleph or the Ah in its picture or action form means strength, leader, and first. Now, the Dalet, which is the second Hebrew letter in the word Adam, the Dalet or the Da in its picture or action form means to enter or pathway. I'm going to say it again. The Dalet or the Da, which is the second letter in the Hebrew word Adam, the Dalet or the Da in its picture or action form means to enter or pathway. That's very important. And the last Hebrew character, which is the Mem or the Ma, in its picture and action form means chaos or liquid. That's very important. So I'm going to say this just one more time. The Aleph or the Ah in its picture and action form means strength, leader, and first. The dalet or the da in this picture in action form means to enter or the pathway. And the last Hebrew character, the mem or the m in this picture in action form means chaos and liquid. Now the reason why I brought this out, or I'm bringing this out, is because what I'm going to now do is put the whole sentence together to give us a better explanation on what the word Adam means. Now, when we follow that format, the word Adam means the first leader of strength to enter the pathway of chaos. I'm going to say it again. The word Adam means the first leader of strength to enter the pathway of chaos. Now, the next thing that we have to do now is prove what I said through the scripture. Because again, what I'm trying to do is to get a better understanding, okay, on who Adam was. And so the question is now, was Adam the first leader of strength to enter the pathway of chaos? Let's go to the book of Bereshit. Let's start from the beginning. Let's look at the book of Bereshit and 1:26. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now, what I had to do next now with verse 26, I need to dissect it. Okay? That's what a teacher does, a Talmud does. It's very important that he dissect every word to make sure that the information that he's given is correct. And the word that I want to dissect first is the word dominion. The word dominion in Hebrew is the Hebrew word radah. And I'm going to look at the Strong Concordance number 7287 because we want to make sure that we prove all things. 7287. The Hebrew word radah. 7287. So Adam was given dominion, okay? Adam was given the responsibility to subjugate, to crumble off, to have dominion, to prevail against, to reign. So Adam was given rulership. So now when we understand that Adam was given, or this man was given rulership, and we go back again to what does Adam's name mean? He was the first leader to be given dominion, strength, and he entered the pathway of chaos. But at first, he was given dominion. Now, with that understanding, let's look at, again, verse 26. I'm going to read it again. And the Father said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion, which is the Hebrew word radah, over the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. That is so important that we understand, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. But what I want to do now is put these emphasis on the word dominion, that Adam was given rulership. Okay, rulership. Now, when we go to the book of Bereshit, the 2nd chapter, the 15th verse, again, let's talk about the meaning of the word Adam, the first leader of strength to enter the pathway of chaos. Verse 15 says, and Elohim took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And so, like I talked about in my other show, why would Elohim tell Adam that he needed to protect the Garden of Eden? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Because Adam was given dominion back here in the book of Bereshit 1-26. And he was given dominion over every creeping thing. Every creeping thing. Adam was in the image of the Father and the Son. So his responsibility was to show forth the praises and the glory of the Father in the world, and that same commission is given to us as Israelites. So the subject hasn't changed. This whole thing is talking about being responsible, being able ministers, so that when other people come to us, that we're able to give them, okay, right information according to Torah. And this other creeping thing that Adam was to have in subjection was Nakash, that's talked about in the book of Bereshit 3, the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about being responsible. One more time. We're reading verse 15 in the book of Bereshit 2:15. And Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. The word keep is associated with the word shamar, to protect it. He was given this dominion. Adam. It's all about responsibility. Now, with that understanding, we know that Adam didn't live up to his part of the contract and being responsible, like I talked about earlier, and Adam was expelled, him and his wife, from the Garden of Eden because he relinquished his right as the authoritative figure on the earth. And that's very important. Adam relinquished his right as being that authoritative figure because he was given dominion. Okay? He was given dominion. That word, radah, is very, very important in helping us to understand again the nature of Adam. And I'm going to say it again. The word Adam is describing the individual. Adam was the first leader of strength to enter the pathway of chaos. And the chaos was when he broke the laws, statutes, and commandments. He didn't live up to his part of being responsible in the garden. Chaos happened and he was expelled from the Garden of Eden. That's what the word Adam means. Now, the next question is this. Where did Adam, Havel, which is Abel, Cain, which is Cain, learn the need of a redeemer? Because like I talked about earlier, the title of this series is called To Adam Was the Garden Entrusted, the Need of a Redeemer. Because that's what's going to happen now. Being that Adam didn't fulfill his part of the contract, we now need a redeemer. Because there's a lot of people that read the scriptures and can't see that we need a redeemer. They don't understand the importance of the Messiah. But being that situation, that chaotic situation happened in the Garden of Eden, provisions were made where a redeemer was set up from the very beginning. Now, again, the question is, where did Adam, Abel, Cain, learn the need of a redeemer? And I'm going to go to the book of Bereshit, the 3rd chapter, and I'm going to read the 21st verse. Because when Adam broke the laws, statutes, commandments, in the Garden of Eden, because Adam had laws, statutes, and commandments. And that word dominion, radah, explains that to us in detail. Adam knew that he was not supposed to be intimate with animals. And Adam knew dietary laws. All these things Adam knew. He was given dominion, rulership, kingship, authorship. That is very important. Now, verse 21. Unto Adam also, I'm going to read from verse 20. This is 3 and 20. And Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. Prior to that, Adam never gave Eve a name. It wasn't until after the fall that we see Adam giving Eve a name, which is Havah, which is very important. And I get into that a little bit later on. And to Adam also and to his wife, his Esau, did Elohim make coats of skins and clothe them. Verse 21 is very, very important because this is like one of the first indications that we see where mankind is going to need a redeemer. In verse 21, and I'm going to read it again. And to Adam also and to his wife did Elohim make coats of skins and clothe them. Because remember, prior to this, what Adam and Eve tried to do, they tried to cover their own nakedness. But what happened now is that what we see in verse 21, we see a sacrifice being made. And what I'm saying here is that this sacrifice that was being made here is called Olah, O-L-A-H, which is a burnt offering. And everything is burnt up during the Olah except for the skin. The skin is given to the priest. And so now we have the priest, okay, given these coats of skin, okay, to Adam and Eve, to a fallen priest. So what we see now here, even when we look at the Levitical priesthood, that was only a temporary position because it was alluding to the coming of the Messiah. But again, verse 21, when we see that this covering or this skin being put upon Adam and Eve, is letting us know that a redeemer is needed to cover or to erase the sins of sinful man. That's what verse 21 is talking about. The need of a redeemer. To Adam was the garden entrusted, but being that Adam didn't live up to his responsibility, or his responsibility as being a leader, and he transgressed the law, we now need a redeemer. And again, the first indication that we see of that is in the book of Bereshit, the 3rd chapter, the 21st verse. When we look up the word Olah, this is talking about a burnt offering, and this was the sacrificing of a sheep, a goat, a lamb. This is what this was. Now, let's look at that a little bit more. Let's go to the book of Bereshit 3:15. We're still talking about the need for a redeemer. And Elohim said, I will put hatred, enmity now between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, what is verse 15 talking about? We're talking about, okay, the promise of a seed. A seed now. And this seed that's going to come forth from this woman is going to be the Messiah. And what's happening now here now is that Nakash, Hashatan, Satan, is trying to crush the head of the promised seed. And like I talked about in my other series, okay, because there's so much information here, the reason why I'm still dealing with the book of Genesis, because Satan is constantly trying to destroy the head of the woman, or the seed of the woman, which is the Messiah. And not just the seed, he's actually trying to destroy the nation of Israel. Because what's happening now here is that on planet Earth here, we have the Father and the Son trying to build a physical nation here. But at the same time, Hashatan is also trying to build, okay, a physical nation. So understanding now the names, okay, of these Hebrew characters is very, very important, because it gives us, again, a better understanding on how to read everybody. For example, my name is Kasad Abba. The word Kasad Abba means mercy, Father. So when I started this ministry here, or this walk here, or this understanding here in 1992, I knew that I would not be able to do this walk on my own merits. There's nothing that I could do to really show myself approved, or to say, listen, you know what, I now have a clear shot into the kingdom. Couldn't do it. And so I chose the name Kasad Abba, which means mercy, Father. So the only way I understand clearly that I would be able to make it out of this last captivity here is through the mercy of the Father. So again, names mean things. It describes the character, the personality, and the nature of the person. That's the reason why I needed to go in depth about the understanding of the word Adam. Now, and the need for a redeemer. Now, the next thing that I want to look into is the word Cain or Cain. It's very important also that we understand who Cain is and what does Cain's name mean. Because if we can understand what Cain's name means, it would help us to understand, again, his character, his nature, and his personality. That's very important. Now, the word Cain means to get or acquire. I'm going to say it again. The word Cain or Cain means to get or acquire. Now, to help us to understand that a lot better, we have to look into scripture to see, was there anybody else who had this same nature, personality, and character? I would like to go to, let's see here. Let's go to the book of Bereshit 3:1. Because everything that's happening now can be spelled out, okay, from the very beginning. Now, Nakash, this serpent here, was more subtle than any beast of the field which Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, You should not eat of every tree of the garden. Now, what I wanted to capitalize here on is the word subtle. Because what I'm trying to do here now is to show a relation between Cain and this word subtle. And the word Cain, or Cain, means to get or acquire. And I'm going to show that there's a relationship between the words, again, subtle, and the word to get or to acquire. Let's go to the Strong's Concordance number 6175. 6175. The word subtle means arum, spelled A-R-U-W-M. And again, the word is arum. It also comes from another Hebrew word, 6191. And we're going to also be reading that. So the word arum means cunning, usually in a bad sense, crafty, prudent, and subtle. So, again, looking at the word Cain, it means to get or to acquire. So right now, everybody should be able to see now that there's a relationship between the meaning of Cain's name and the meaning of Nakash's name. Nakash is subtle, he's prudent, and how does Nakash get the things that he's want? Because he's more subtle than any beast of the field. And we see also Cain distributing now these same characteristics as his father, Nakash. 6191. Arum. A prime root, to be or make bare, but used only in the sense through the idea of smoothness, to be cunning, usually in a bad sense. Beware, take crafty counsel, to be prudent, to deal in a subtle way. So now, everybody understands the story of Cain and Abel, where Cain kills his brother Abel. That nature that Cain has is the same nature that his father Nakash has. He's subtle. Cain gets the things that he wants through the force of the sword. He's a man of the field, just like his father, who? Nakash. Let's get some more scriptures on that. Let's go to the book of Bereshit 27, the 27th chapter. And again, we're looking at the characteristics, okay, of Cain, to get or to acquire. and looking up the word subtile, which is one of the attributes of Hashatan. Let's see now, does anybody else portray those characteristics? Bereshit, the 27th chapter, and I'm going to read 38 to 42. And this is talking about Esau and Jacob. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling should be the fatness of the earth. Okay, the fatness of the earth. And I just want to put out this information. The word Jacob does not mean supplanter. The word Jacob means hand over hill. And I will get into that a little bit later on. But the word, again, I just want to make that clear, that the word Jacob means hand over hill. But what I'm finding interesting now is that when Esau is giving his blessings, it says that thy dwelling should be the fatness of the earth. So the things that Esau has, it will be, you can see it through the way that he acquires or the way that he gets things. He's going to be more subtle than any other beast of the field, because his dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of the heavens from above. And by the sword shall thy live. So how is Esau, how is Cain, how is Nakash going to acquire the things that they have? It's going to be by the force of the sword. And when we look at Cain, how did Cain destroy Abel? He destroyed Abel by crushing the head. What did Esau do in the womb? Esau tried to crush the head of Jacob. That's the reason why Jacob held on to the heel of Esau's foot. Okay, he held on to the heel of his foot because there was a struggle with this side of the womb. And so we go to the book of Bereshit 3:15, and he shall crush his head. So what's trying to happen now is that Nakash Hashatan is trying to crush the head of the righteous seed. And we see this happening with Cain. We see the same thing happening with Ishmael, and Isaac. And we see the same thing happening with Esau and Jacob. So again, understanding the definition of these individuals' names is very, very important, because like I said earlier, it describes the nature, the characteristics, and the personality of the person. That's very important. So again, I don't want to lose anybody. I just want to, what I'm trying to do here now is that I'm showing now that each one of these individuals, Cain, Ishmael, and Esau, they get or acquire the things that they have by the traits of their father. I'm going to read on. And by the sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion. That word dominion is very important, because that word dominion is radah. We went over that word. I'm going to go over it again because there's more information on that word radah, dominion. And when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob. I'm going to read it again. And Esau hated Jacob. So now this disagreeable seed, okay, Esau hated the righteous seed, Jacob, because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart. So it was part of his subconscious when it talks about the heart, because we're not talking about the heart that's in the chest. We're not talking about that heart there. We're talking about his subconscious. So where do we see now where the subconscious of an individual bothers him because of a blessing? Where do we see that same story happening earlier in the scripture? We see that same hatred with Cain and Abel, where Cain now hates his brother Abel. Cain hates the righteous seed, and we see that Esau hates the righteous seed. Cain plotted and fulfilled his master plan in destroying Abel, and we see the same thing being played out again with Esau hating his brother and wanting to kill him. And this is all based on the characteristics of Cain's father and Esau's father, which is Nakash, this disagreeable seed. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. So we see that Isaac is about to die. Then will I slay the righteous seed, which is Jacob. Yaakov. Okay? Esau hated Jacob the same way that Cain hated Cain hated Abel. And it was already told to us, okay, that there was going to be enmity between the two seeds. I'm going to read on. And these words of Esau, her eldest son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob, her youngest son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doeth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. So again, there's so much going on in the scriptures where it would take like 10 lifetimes over again to get the real true essence of this whole thing here. I always talk about the Peshat level, the Remez level, the Drosh level, and the Side level. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands this. This is still the literal meaning of the scripture, because there's so much meat here. And what's happening now is that I'm finding out, and a lot of other brothers and sisters are finding out, is that the rabbit hole gets that much deeper. That much deeper. And that's the reason why we have to be responsible and learn from our past mistakes from our ancient forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Adam, all these guys here. We must learn from their mistakes, and we should now be more responsible here in these last days, making sure that we show forth the praises and the glory, or the Shekinah of the Father. That's very, very important. Now I want to take a look at the word Havel, which is Abel, which means vapor or breath. Okay, the word Havel or Abel means vapor or breath. Let's look up the word breath in the Strong Concordance, number 5397. 5397. 5397. 5397, and the Hebrew word for breath is neshama. Neshama. Okay, so the word breath means puff, wind, angry, or vital. That word vital is very important. Vital breath, divine, inspiration, intellect, inspiration, soul, and spirit. So again, what we're doing now, let's understand the characteristics, the nature, and the personality of Abel or Havel. The same way that we got a good understanding of the nature and the characteristics and the personality of Adam, we got the understanding of the nature, the personality, and the character of Abel, Cain. Let's also go into further research with Havel or Abel and understanding his characteristics, his personality, and his what type of person he really is. It also goes into the Strong Concordance number 5395. 53, excuse me, 7307. No, it actually does go to the 5395. I'll read 5395. It comes from a prime root to blow away, to destroy, and then it says destroy again. But what I wanted to do was to go into the Strong Concordance number 7307. 7307. So you can get a real good understanding of this word breath. 73, I'm going to read 7306 first, then I'll read 7307. The word for breath is ruach. Okay, it means to blow, to breathe, to smell. And when it says to smell, I find that very, very important, because the scriptures teaches us that the blood of righteous Abel crieth out unto me. And so it's also recorded in certain other documents. It's not in the scriptures that we have here. Is that out of jealousy and anger that Cain actually took the body of Abel and did a sacrifice with it and burnt the whole body. And burnt it. So I just find that very interesting. And again, it's not in our regular scripture, but again, I do find it interesting because I'm trying to, when I look up this word here, smell, and looking up the word olah, it's just a smelling of a burnt offering. And I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, again, just looking at everything from all perspectives so that I can get a better understanding of the scripture. I'm not saying that that actually happened, but it is documented in a lot of scripture, okay, that Cain actually took the dead body of his brother, threw it upon an altar, and said, okay, then you want to burn, and told the father, okay, you want a burnt sacrifice? Here's a burnt sacrifice. And Cain actually offered up his brother Abel. So back to the definition, though. To breathe only, to smell, to perceive, to anticipate, to enjoy, to accept, to smell, to touch, to make of quick understanding. And these are all the attributes of the word able, because the word able again means vapor or breath. To help us understand who Abel is, let's go to 7307, which is also ruach. It means a sensible or even violent excitation, life, anger, a region of the sky, by resemblance spirit, by only a rational being, its expression, cool, courage, mind, spirits. So it gives a whole lot there. But again, we should see now is that this breath, okay, this spirit is very, very important in the indications that we have, because the scriptures tell us that Abel was righteous. So we know that this breath here was talking about the ruach. Okay, very important. Now, I also wanted to look up another word. Another word I wanted to look up was the word. First of all, let's go to a scripture. Let's go to the scripture. Let's go to the book of Bereshit. And let's look at the word, let's go to Bereshit, the 2nd chapter, the 7th verse. Let's get some scriptures in here to prove some of these things that I'm saying. 2 and 7. And Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath. And we looked up that word breath. We went to the Strong Concordance number 5397 and 7307. Into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. What I wanted to look up now is the word living, which is the Strong Concordance number. The Strong Concordance number 2416. 2416. And what we're doing is we're trying to find the characteristics of righteous Abel. 2416. The Hebrew word is Cain. Okay, Cain, from 24:21. So we're going to be reading 24:16 and 24:21. And the word again is Cain. It means alive, raw flesh, fresh, water, year, strong. Also as a noun, especially in the feminine sense, singular, and in the masculine sense, plural, life or living thing, whether literal or figuratively. Age, alive, appetite, wild beast, company, congregation, life, time, live, lively, living creature, maintenance, merry, multitude, old, quick, raw, running, springing, and troop. 24:21. And again, the word for living is kaya. It means to live, whether literal or figuratively, to revive, to keep, to make alive, certainly give, promise, life, to live, to nourish up, to preserve alive, to quicken, to recover, to repair, to restore, again, to revive, to save alive, to surely to be whole. One more word I want to look up is the word soul. 53:17, because it's all in verse 7 and the book of Bereshit 2 and 7. Looking up the last two words, the last word here is the word soul, which is the Strong's Concordance number 53:17. And again, what we're doing here now is trying to get a better explanation on the characteristics, the personality, and the nature of Abel, righteous Abel. 53:17. 53:17. And the word is Nopheth. Nopheth. From 51:30. So we will also be reading that. In the sense of shaking to pieces, a dripping, and then it says as an example of honey from the comb. Let's go to 51:30. 51:30. 51:30. Nopheth. To quiver, to vibrate up and down, or rock to and fro, used in great variety of applications, sprinkling, beckoning, rubbing, sewing, waving, lifting up, move, offer, perfume, send, shake, sift, strike, and wave. Now, all these words here describes, okay, the characteristics of Abel. It is the breath that, or this ruach, that gives life. And the name Abel, okay, is associated with breath. And again, we talked about the two definitions of the word breath in the Strong's Concordance number 5397 and 7307, and understand that Abel was a righteous individual. And so when we go to the Strong Concordance numbers, understanding his name, we can only associate Abel as being a righteous individual. So that breath would have to be associated with him being righteous. And that's the reason why it says that the blood of righteous Abel crieth out unto me. And it later goes on to say, Cain, where is thy brother? And Cain, out of trickery and that subtle attitude that he has, he says, am I my brother's keeper? So what happens now is that Cain doesn't even want to be responsible for his own brother, which is the same thing that's happening today. Well, like I always say, that Israel is a community and we are responsible for one another. That's what it means about being responsible. And again, so when other brothers and sisters come to us, it is very important for us to make sure that we give them the right answers to the questions that they're giving us, because we don't want to misuse or abuse a sister's trust that they have in us, or a brother's trust that they have in us. We must make sure that we give them right knowledge according to the scriptures. And this is what this whole thing is about. When I'm talking about Adam, when I'm talking about Abel, when when I'm talking about Cain, when I'm talking about Nakash, when I'm talking about Jacob, when I'm talking about Esau, this whole thing is about being responsible and understanding the characteristics, the nature, and the personality of each and every individual. That's important. Now, what I wanted to do in final, I wanted to again talk about responsibility and the disobedience that happened in the Garden of Eden, and the severe consequences that happened. Because again, Adam was a priest. He was given dominion. All right, he was given dominion, and something happened very interesting. Okay, and I want to read Job 9:24. Job 9:24. It says, "And the arats, or the earth, is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" So this is a question. It said that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and he covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So let's look at some more with this. Let's look at the book of Matthew, the 4th chapter. Now I'm going back to the book of Job 9:24. But let's go to the book of Matthew, the 4th chapter. The 4th chapter. And I want to read from 1 to 10. Then was Yahushua led up of the rock into the wilderness to be tempted of Nakash, Hashatan, Satan. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, the 40 days and 40 nights, I get into that a little bit later on, and how that's also referencing the nation of Israel, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "If thou be the son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread." But Yahushua answered and said, "It is written, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word which is the Torah that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Father." But Nakash taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, "If thou be the son of Elohim, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone." Verse 7. Then Yahushua said unto him, "It is written again, thou shalt not tempt Elohim thy power." Verse 7 is very important. Yahushua said, "It is written again." He's talking to Hashatan. He's telling Hashatan that he should not, Hashatan, Satan should not tempt Elohim, his power. So who is the power of Nakash? Because there's only one power. The power of Elohim. It's Elohim. He's the only power. Again, Nakash took him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, "All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me." Then said Yahushua unto him, "Get thee hence, Satan. It is written, you shall worship." And this word worship here is very important, because this word worship is not talking about shakah, spelled S-H-A-C-H-A. That shakah means to prostrate, kneel, and to bow. But this worship here is the Hebrew word abad, A-B-A-D, which means to worship or to minister. So the Messiah is saying unto him, "Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt abide Elohim, thy power, and him alone shalt thou serve." So I wanted to bring out, the word abad and the word shakah. And the word abad means to worship or to minister. And the word shakah means to prostrate, kneel, or to bow. But what I found interesting, okay, in the book of Job 9:24, and what I see that was important in the book of Matthew, the 4th chapter, 1 to 10, is that Nakash is now sitting on this throne of authority. Because again, it said that in Job 9:24 that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. The question is, how did this happen? How did this happen? And the way that we understand how this happened is we have to go back to the book of Bereshit, which is the 1st chapter, like I brought out earlier, the 1st verse, the 1st chapter, the 26th verse, where it talked about dominion. That word dominion is very, very important because it's the Hebrew word radah. This dominion, okay, this seat of authority was first given to Adam. When Adam transgressed the law, okay, when he didn't fulfill his responsibilities as king and being that authoritative figure on the earth, okay, his seat was taken from him. And when this seat was taken from him, somebody else sat in his seat. And the individual that sat in his seat was Nakash. So when we go now to the book of Job 9:24, when it says that the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, we're talking about Nakash here. He is now sitting in that seat until Yahushua comes back and destroys wickedness from off the face of the earth, and righteousness is then going to reign from the four corners of the earth, north, east, south, and west. Because again, we've seen that authority, okay, being shown to us in the book of Matthew, the 4th chapter, when we see now Satan offering, okay, the Messiah all of these riches. And my argument is that this happened because of the sin that happened in the Garden of Eden. And with that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to end this series here called To Adam Was the Garden Entrusted, and the Need for a Redeemer. And I can't say this enough. This is about responsibility. It's very important for both the men and the women to understand Scripture, because, like the Scriptures say, can two walk together unless they agree? And with that, brothers and sisters, until the next time we meet, I say shalom.